One Irish proverb tells us, it's better to be clever than to be strong. Is fearr bheith glic ná láidir. And I have a great story to illustrate that proverb. Fáilte a chairde, welcome my friends. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Kate and I'm a professor of Irish folklore and Irish language. And really that's what this channel is all about, how Irish creativity and imagination in all forms can help us live lives today that are also creative and joyful. So let's get started. B'wailam scéal in sin Steve, I want to tell you a story. Fado in éireann, bhí buachailán uairmhainn. Once long ago in Ireland, there was a young boy, and he was hired to serve as the herdsboy for the great Lord Bishop. This great, imposing, majestic Lord Bishop hired this little boy to look after his herds. Well, one day, the little boy was coming back home from watching the animals, and he saw that the Lord Bishop was in a great lather. Oh, God! He was crying and wailing, and the little boy said, "My Lord Bishop, whatever is the matter?" And the bishop said, "I'm going to die tomorrow. This is it for me. It's my last day on earth." And the little boy said, "But how can that be? You're the most powerful person in the land." "Well, I'm not really. There's a more powerful man that's come in and taken over this country. And he says that if I don't go to him tomorrow, first thing in the morning, and answer his 3 questions, then he'll take my head off." "Well," said the little boy, "that's not as bad as all of that." The Lord Bishop said, "What do you mean? It's terrible. I'm going to die." And the little boy said, "The wee codger," he said, "I'll go in your place. It's only 3 questions. I can answer them." "No, you'll lose your own head," said the Lord Bishop. "If you can't answer those questions, he'll take your head off too." And the little wee codger said, "I'll take my chances. I'll go." Well, in the morning he got up bright and early, and didn't he come along and he knocked on the door of the new big man. The big man answered and he said, "And who might you be?" And the wee codger said, "Well, I'm the herdsboy for the Lord Bishop. I've come in his place today." And the big man said, "Why would he ever send you, just a child, in his place?" And the wee codger said, "Well, he didn't think it was really worth it to come himself, so he sent me." "All right," said the big man. "You can try to answer these questions, but I'm telling you now, if you don't answer them right, I'm taking your head right off your shoulders." And the little boy said, "Ask your questions." "All right," he said, "here's the first question. When I wake up in the morning, what's the first thing I think of?" And the wee codger took a moment and thought, and then he said, "You think, what'll I have for my breakfast?" "Yes, that's right. Well, you're right about that one. All right. All right, here's a harder one then. How many loads of sand are there around the shores of Ireland, on all the beaches of Ireland?" And the wee codger thought, and he said, "I would say 1. And the big man said, "How do you figure that? That doesn't make any sense." And the wee codger said, "Well, it's 1 load if you have a wheelbarrow big enough to carry it all." "Fair enough. All right. All right. Well, here's the last question, and you better get it right or I'm taking that little head right off your shoulders." "Ask your question." "How much am I worth?" And the wee codger thought for a moment, and then he said, "Well, I would say 29 pieces of silver." And the big man said, "How do you figure that? That doesn't even make sense." And the wee codger said, "Well, they sold our Lord for 30 pieces of silver, and you're not half the man he was." And so the big man had to let him go, and the Lord Bishop was thrilled with him and gave him an extra helping for his supper. Sin é mar scialsa má tá brig an bíú. That's my story. If there's a lie in it, so be it. So, true enough, is fearr bheith glic ná láidir. Better to be clever than strong. That is a classic David and Goliath tale, isn't it? The small pitted against the weak. And I've been thinking a lot over these last weeks about Irish values and really what we can learn from stories about what the Irish really prize most of all. And in this case, and there's a philosophy, I think, in this case, it is that what is small and seemingly powerless can make a tremendous difference in the world. You do not have to be big and important, and I put that in quotes, important, to make a big difference. Often it's the little things that bring a system down or that make a change that is important in the world. So I'd like us just to keep that close to our hearts. I think, we're at a time in the world, well, it's probably always been so, but it feels sometimes now that mighty forces are on the move and we have nothing to do to change them or stop them or make them what we wish that they would be, make them good. But I think this tale actually shows us that small as we are, just a person, we can make a difference. And in our own way. Now for this, the wee codger, he got to use his wit and his courage. Those were his gifts. But we all have gifts. You have gifts, my friend. I promise you now. And we can decide to use those gifts to make a difference. I always think, do what is yours to do. Do what is yours to do. What brings you pleasure? What feels sustainable? What feels joyful? What feels somehow natural? And again, what is yours? And let's do that. And if we all do those things, small as we are, together, we will make a difference. So I hope you enjoy that tale. I'd love to know from you, are there any other lessons or messages or reflections that you have about that story of the wee codger? Please share in the comments. It's a joy to hear from you. And again, all of your likes, they're just like food and drink to me. And you might even think a like is just a small thing, but it really isn't to me. To me, it's a big thing, and I appreciate it. And your subscribes too. Thank you for subscribing and growing this little channel. It's just been a joy. So I hope this week you will do things that make a difference in your own mind and heart. And thank you, as always, for listening. I'll see you next week. Slán na nishe, Chairde.